Alright you guys, so it is officially Jackson's first night of sleep training. I'm doing a whole little like sleep training video diary like I did when we sleep trained Riley. So I really hope that this is helpful if you guys are in the same boat, you're starting to sleep train your little ones. It's hard. I did it with Riley like I said, and it was not the easiest thing in the world. But if you're new to my channel, this is Jackson, and he's about 6.5 months old. He's almost 7 months old, and he has never slept in his own room. Look at that tired baby. So he's been sleeping pretty much in my bed for most nights. Like every night at some point he comes into my bed. Recently we had him here in the pack and play next to me, but then like halfway through the night he would start fussing and I'd bring him into my bed. The point is, I'm very tired, I'm very desperate, and so we're gonna start sleep training. We're gonna follow the Ferber method, same that we did with Riley. I'll go into more detail about it in a second, but first I want to show you what his nursery setup looks like. So if you guys are new here, his nursery is not completely finished, it's not completely set up, but like I said, we're desperate and we just really want to start. So this is what his nursery looks like now. So this is Jackson's nursery. We have a lot to clean up over here. Look at this. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. But we do have a crib, so that's the good thing. That's really all we need. Eventually this is going to be a dresser, and eventually this will be a nice setup. But for now we have his crib, and eventually his monitor will be above the crib so I can see like down on him, but for now this is what we've got going on here. So I have the monitor set up on this box, so at the very least I can see him. And then this is the Hatch sound machine that we've been using in my room for all of his life, so I'm gonna turn it on here so that at least he'll have a sound machine. So I'm gonna do the nighttime routine in my room just because I don't have a like rocking chair in his nursery yet. So eventually once we get that nursery set up, all of the nighttime routine will be done in his nursery. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna sit on the bed, I'm gonna nurse him. That's just part of our nighttime routine. I bathe him and then I nurse him. Some nights he will just pass out like on my boob while I'm feeding him. I'm gonna try to make sure that that doesn't happen today, because one of the things that the sleep experts will tell you is that you wanna put your baby into their crib when they're drowsy but not asleep, like not fully asleep. So we're gonna try that out, see how he does, this little guy. And then this is what the monitor looks like. So just so you can see, you can hear the sound machine going, and then we'll be able to have eyes on Jackson once he's in there. So I'm gonna nurse him, get him down, and then once he's asleep, I'll come back in here and then we can start the process and see how long it takes for him to go to sleep, how much crying is involved, and we're just gonna kind of do like a little video log of all the stuff that is happening, because it's gonna be rough.
Look ahead, the sea is calm, and I know we've been through a lot, but just wait. Wait for better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails.
Alright, so here's the not so fun part at all. It is 8 o'clock. So we usually put Jackson to sleep between like 7:30 and 8. Today it's actually 8 o'clock. And as you can hear, like he was screaming the minute that I put him down. He was really drowsy, he was almost asleep on my boob, and then I moved him into the room. So we're gonna watch him. He's probably gonna be crying and fussing. You can see him, he's just there hanging out. This is like a whole new thing for him, being in his own room. Let's talk about logistics, even though it's hard because I have anxiety hearing him cry and I'm trying to tell you guys this. But this is how the Ferber method works. So every night, I'm gonna put up a little chart here and you guys can see the chart. But every night there is a scheduled check-in. So the first night, which is tonight, you go in and you check on your baby after 3 minutes. So once he's been crying for 3 minutes at 8:03, I'm gonna go into his room and I'm just gonna like put my hand on his chest and just kind of let him know that I'm there. I'm not supposed to pick him up. I'm just supposed to leave him in the crib and just assure him that I'm there, tell him that I love him, and then leave. When I did this with Riley, I wouldn't spend more than like a minute in there, and honestly even that is pretty brutal because they're just like screaming. So just check in on them, let them know that you're there, and then you come back to your room. At that point they're probably still going to be crying, and so the next time you go and you check in on them is after 5 more minutes. So you go in after 3 minutes, and the next time you go in after 5 minutes, you repeat that process, put your hand on their chest, let them know you're there, and then after that you go back to your room, and the next check-in isn't until 10 minutes have gone by. So 3, 5, and 10 is the first night, and if after those 10 minutes he's still crying, you have to wait another 10 minutes. So depending on your baby, you know, you might have 1 check-in or 3 check-ins or 18 freaking check-ins, which I hope is not the case. But that's the process with Ferber. So it is 8:02. I'm just gonna be staring at the freaking phone until it's time to go in and check on him. I've done this before, and we've actually been kind of practicing this with him for about a month or so. I'll link to the video that I shared where we did like gentle sleep training, where we kind of prepared him for this. So we've been hearing him cry a bit, so this isn't a totally new experience to us, which is why I'm not like freaking out. But if this is your first time hearing your baby cry, like when you put him down for bed or for nap time and stuff, it's brutal, and I'm here with you, and I hope that this video just encourages you to keep going. All right, it's 8:03. Let's go check on him, and I'll show you exactly what I do. Now, to be expected, those check-ins can piss off your baby even more. Like, just hearing him cry now, like after going in there, it really makes me sad, and I don't enjoy it. Like, none of this I enjoy. I'm just trying to get him to have a good night's sleep, because he hasn't had a good night's sleep in almost 7 months, and neither have I. So we both need to sleep. Sleep is important for their development and for just my mental health. But this process, it's rough. And if you have anxiety, I'm praying for you. It's hard, but with Riley it worked. So I'm hoping that with Jackson it'll work too. So yeah, these check-ins can definitely make them more upset, which is why there's other like sleep training methods. I think it's called like extinction, where you literally just like don't go back in, but I'm not prepared to do that. That's not my style. So here I am just watching him cry for another 5 minutes. So we went in at 8:03. At 8:08 we'll go in again. Or maybe 8:09, since it probably took like a minute for me to get back. So at 8:09, 5 minutes will have passed, and we're gonna go do the same exact thing. With time, I will say that those check-ins get fewer and fewer. Like, if you guys did see my gentle sleep training video where we kind of let him cry for his naps and stuff, that's what happened. There was a time when Jackson was little, like up until recently, like maybe until he was like 5 months old or something, where I would literally just nurse him to sleep, or I was rocking him to sleep. I would spend 20 minutes just rocking him to sleep, because he didn't know how to put himself to sleep. He didn't have that skill of just being left in a crib or in a bassinet and then just putting himself to sleep. He also doesn't take a pacifier, so that doesn't help. But with time, we did kind of like a modified pseudo Ferber method with him for that. And with time, like, he only cried for maybe 10 minutes, and then it was like 5 minutes, and then it got shorter and shorter. I do know that it's possible for him to fall asleep on his own. He's done it all this time. Like, he's been doing it, but he's been doing it with a bit of crying. He's also been doing it in a different environment. This is the first time he's in his own room, and this is the first time that he's going to be in his own room for the entire night. So there's a lot that he's, you know, transitioning to right now. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go back to square one of Ferber and start with the 3 minutes, the 5 minutes, and the 10 minutes, because like, even up until like yesterday, we would let him cry for his naps and for nighttime sleep. We would let him cry maybe 10 minutes, and then we check on him, and then maybe even 15 minutes and check on him. More than 15 minutes is like absolute torture. But I know that it is possible for his crying amounts of time like to go shortening. So he's still fussing. He is still not having a good time. See what time it is, 8:07. I'm gonna wait till like 8:09. By the way, especially if this is your first time sleep training your baby, I highly recommend doing it with your partner. Joe is actually putting Riley down for bed right now, so that's the only reason why he's not here. He will be here later on in the evening when he wakes up, because that's the other thing. Even once he goes down to sleep now, I have to do the same exact process anytime that he wakes up in the middle of the night. So if he wakes up at 11, I've got to do the same exact process, starting back at 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and 10 minutes. If then he wakes up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, every time that they wake up, you're supposed to go in and check on them in those same intervals. On day 2, the intervals change. So tomorrow you'll see that the intervals are 5, 10, and I think maybe 12. I could be wrong, but I know that it's not 3 anymore. All right, it's 8:09. He's still pissed off, still crying. So I'm gonna go check on him. I'm not gonna take the camera this time. I'm just gonna kind of go in and go out, and then I'm gonna come back and keep talking to you guys until he goes to sleep, because I really want you guys to see that he goes to sleep. And there's still some more stuff about the whole sleep training method that I want to share with you because of the fact that this is like my second go round. Right, so at 8:20 will be my next check-in. That'll be 10 minutes since I went in there. It doesn't get easier, so I just want you guys to know that if you're struggling with this, sucks. Here's Joe. He just got done with Riley. You ready to listen to this? You think it's gonna be better or worse than Riley?
Worse.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Hey, expect the worst, hope for the best.
Great.
I don't think we're gonna be lucky.
No, we kind of said it. Like, we kind of knew that. Like, with Riley, when we sleep trained her, like, night 1 or 2, like, we didn't even have to go in, like, at 10 minutes, did we?
No.
I don't even know, but, like, I know that
we woke up that morning, we're like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah, like, Riley picked it up real quick. But for some reason, I don't know, Jackson is not the same, and he's been a terrible sleeper, terrible napper. His naps are literally 30 minutes, and that's it.
He just doesn't tire from crying. That's
Yeah,
the other problem.
that's true. Like, he can cry, and he can just keep crying if he's pissed off. So hopefully,
He's stubborn like his mother.
Shut up. He is. Well, I am stubborn. You are right. But this is just the hardest part. So night 1, I would say, is definitely the hardest, especially if you've never done it. But try to stick with it, because at the end of the day, you're doing it for your baby and for you guys. Like, this will be so nice once he's actually sleep trained, because Jackson has been sleeping in our bed, right? Like, in our bed or in the pack and play in our room. So, like, our bathroom is in that door. So there's like a lot of days where, like, I can't shower because he's already sleeping in here and I don't want to wake him up. So, like, it's nice to have, like, our space back. You happy about that?
Yeah.
It'll be nice once it's truly back and I don't have to deal with the anxiety of him
Is
crying.
this the first 3?
No, we're at 10 minutes now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did 3 and he did 5 and he got pissed every time that I went in there.
Yeah.
And now he is doing 10.
You can barely hear it in Riley's room, so
Hmm?
that's good. You can barely hear this in
Oh,
Riley's
that's good.
room.
Yeah, because Riley and Jackson share a wall, so it's good that...
Turned it up, heard a little sound.
Yeah, she also has a hatch in her room, so I guess that helps. But I don't know why he's having such a hard time. Like, there's a lot of times when, like, even his naps, he goes to sleep within, like, maybe 10 minutes. But today it's taking a little longer, probably because I keep going in there and making him more upset. But then the other thing is that he did learn how to flip onto his stomach. So sometimes he'll flip, sometimes he won't. I don't think that he's fully gotten, like, a routine down, like, with his sleeping habits. Like, he doesn't flip over every time, so he may be frustrated with that. But that's him. He's still just on his back. And I have the machine turned off so that I can't hear it extra loud, because I hear it loud enough. But once we get that monitor mounted on the wall, this is what it'll look like. It'll look like Riley's room. You see how that's Riley, and then the monitor is, like, right above her crib. So we'll have, like, a bird's eye view of both of their cribs. So it's only been 5 minutes and it feels like freaking forever. So we've got 5 more minutes to complete that 10-minute check-in. So at 8:20, I'll go back in there and then that's it. Like, after this, like, every time we go in now from here on out until he actually falls asleep, we have to wait 10 minutes. So hopefully it won't take too many more check-ins. So I always like to keep track of just, like, how many check-ins it takes. So I just created a little note here on my phone. Night 1, I went in at 3 minutes, at 5 minutes, at 10 minutes, and now every other 10-minute check-in I do, I'll just keep adding it so that way I can see from night to night how he's progressing. All right, it is 8:19 and he flipped onto his stomach. So this is gonna present a whole new set of problems, because now he's gotta figure out how to fall asleep on his belly, which he has done before, but he's gotta want to do it now. But it's 8:20, so Joseph, you want to go do this check-in, please and thank you?
Sure.
Thanks.
Absolutely. How long are we doing this? Just to touch him, pat him?
Just touch him, pat him on his belly, or on his back now. You can leave him on his belly.
30 seconds?
Yeah, it's just like 30 seconds and then you can leave. I remember that with Riley, I would just send Joe, because it got to a point where I just couldn't. I was like, I couldn't take that crying when I leave the room, like when I would leave the room, so I would send him to do it. Brutal. That sucks, doesn't it?
Always did.
Yeah, never fun. Yep. So far we've gone in at 3, 5, 10, and 10. So now we gotta wait another 10 minutes. So now I'll just check back in with you guys once he's asleep, and I'll tell you how many rounds of that it took. But hopefully it'll be in
the morning.
No, shut up. Hopefully it'll be in less than 10 minutes, even though it doesn't seem super promising. All right, so it's 8:26, and little dude looks like he is out. He's on his stomach, and his head is just to the side. He passed out, so that's not too bad. I don't want to like jinx it and then have him like suddenly wake up out of nowhere, but it looks like he's down. So the whole process of getting him down with the sleep training was like 26 minutes, less than half an hour. So for night 1, that is not bad. I'm real happy about that. And now, like I told you guys before, here's where the problem sets in. So I'm gonna track that he went down at 8:30. I'm still using that Huckleberry app to track his sleep, because I like to see like how long he sleeps for. So I'm gonna do that. But lately he's been waking up like after an hour and a half or like 2 hours. So whenever he does wake up, whether that's in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, we're just gonna do this process again. We had already run this by his pediatrician, the fact that we were gonna do the sleep training, and the pediatrician gave us the okay, gave us the green light. And one of the things that they also told us was that he no longer needs any nighttime feeds, because that's a question that I get asked a lot about when you guys ask me about sleep training. They told me that if I'm feeding him like around 7:30, 8, like bedtime, he shouldn't need to eat again in the middle of the night at all until like maybe like 5 in the morning. So he should be able to go that span of time without nursing. But all of this, if you're planning on sleep training, I highly recommend that you run it by your child's pediatrician. I am not a doctor by any means. I'm just telling you what we are doing and what we did in the past with Riley. So no more nursing to go back to sleep, because that's something that he would do a lot. Like when I would bring him into my bed, he would just kind of comfort nurse and go back to sleep, because I told you that he doesn't take a pacifier. So all of that is gone, and he's gonna have to adjust to this new normal. But I'm really hoping that this just helps him to be more rested, because like today he was super cranky all day long because he didn't sleep well last night. What are you doing? He keeps making this thing go off.
I screwed up.
It's all right. I'm gonna let him sleep. We're gonna enjoy whatever amount of time we get to watch TV, to hang out. You're just gonna go to sleep? Whatever. I might actually go take a shower since I don't always get to take a shower now that we have our room back. It feels so weird. So I will check in with you guys again when he wakes up, and I'll just let you guys know how he's doing. All right, it is 11:15. He is up. I just heard him in the monitor. So let's do this 3, 5, and 10. Look at him holding onto the side of the crib. That was like 2 hours and 48 minutes that he slept. I was just starting to get to bed. Like I was just starting to drift off. He wakes up. But that was still good. That was still good for his first attempt. So hopefully the rest of the night won't be rough. So it's 11:26. And he hasn't really been crying. Like now he's starting to be a little louder, but he's just in his crib putting his hands in his mouth. So just because he's awake doesn't mean I'm going in there. I'm kind of just waiting for him to actually start crying. So since he hasn't really started crying, I haven't gone in there. Because again, you guys know that he's gonna be real pissed off if I go in there. So if he's just kind of whimpering a little bit, he doesn't seem too angry, then he just stays in there. Like, where am I? What is this? What is going on? Little leg doing sticking out there. So obviously it's the next morning, and it feels so weird to be up this early because Jackson normally will sleep in until about like 7 or 8, and it's like 6 something. So I don't know what this is gonna do to his schedule, but I am gonna fill you guys in on how he did last night. First of all, I did just finish nursing him because this is the longest he's ever gone without nursing. I nursed him when I put him to bed like around 8, and then he went like, what is that, like 10 hours pretty much without eating. So he's never done that before. Usually he's like snacking like the entire night and comfort nursing back to sleep. So he's
eating a lot throughout the night. So he was definitely hungry this morning. He nursed for a long time.
All right, so let's talk about how this guy did last night. So you guys saw that he went to sleep around 8:26, so like around 8:30 he was asleep. He slept all the way until about 11:15. At 11:15, it was kind of weird because for a little while, like, he wasn't crying much. He was just kind of fussing, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to go in if he's not like crying hard, because I know that by going in, he is going to start crying hard. So there is a chance that your baby might like kind of fuss for a little while, not cry hysterically, and just kind of try to figure things out on their own. Remember, this is them learning how to sleep. So at least the way I do it, unless he's crying like that, I can visibly notice that it's like a cry and not a fuss. Like, that's when I start the timer of the 3 minutes, the 5 minutes, and the 10 minutes. So for a long time, I was like, this guy is gonna put himself back to sleep. He's not crying. He was just kind of exploring the crib and like looking at his hands and stuff. But then what happened was he rolled over, like he flipped onto his back by accident, and that pissed him off. He got really mad that he had like toppled over. So he got mad for a little while. Then he was just kind of whimpering some more, but no heavy crying until 11:40. So remember, he woke up at 11:15. He was fine until about 11:40. At 11:40, he started heavy crying, and that's when I started the counting. And then I went in at the 3 minute mark, and I went again in at the 5 minute mark. And both of those check-ins were really hard because I was really tired. I had like almost dozed off to sleep, but he was pissed. Like, he was screaming at the top of his lungs when I left, and that is the worst for me. Like, that to me is just heartbreaking and brutal when I leave the room and he starts like screaming. Luckily, those were the only 2 check-ins that I had to do. He was asleep before I got to the 10 minutes on like that 3rd round. So he fell asleep, and I was so happy, and then that's when I fell asleep. After that, the next time that he woke up was at 4:12. So that is a great stretch for him. That's like amazing, because normally he doesn't do stretches like that. So I was prepared at 4 something to go in and check on him, and I even considered maybe taking him into my bed at that point and nursing him, because it was close to 5 o'clock. But I just kept an eye on him in the monitor, and he wasn't crying again. He was just kind of fussing a little bit, and by 4:18, so like 6 minutes later, he was asleep again on his own. So he put himself to sleep, and that's what we want. We want our babies to like wake up. Like, it's okay if they wake up in the middle of the night. Like, we all wake up in the middle of the night. But what we want to teach them is how to wake up and then kind of look around, do their thing, and then go back to sleep. So he did that, and he slept, and then the next time he woke up was at 6:10. At 6:10, I just automatically, like, that's like a good enough time for me to nurse him. So I went into his room, grabbed him, brought him back into the bed with me, and I nursed him. And that was the longest that he's ever gone without nursing, because he nursed like at 8 when I put him to bed, and then the next time that he nursed was at 6:10. So that's like 10 hours of no nursing. So he was really hungry. He was nursing for a really long time. After that, I wasn't sure if we were gonna like start the day at that point, or if he was gonna be able to go back to sleep, because 6:10 is a very early wake up for us. He normally doesn't wake up until around 7 or 8 sometimes. So I was like, oh crap, like, what does this do to his schedule? Is this gonna throw us all off? Luckily, he did nurse and go back to sleep. He ended up passing out in my bed, and he slept until about 7:40. So I actually got a little extra sleep in, and then at 7:40 is when we got up and started our day. Today, what we're gonna work on is naps, and I'm gonna show you guys how we do naps. We do naps the exact same way. I do have to kind of watch for his sleepy cues now for this first nap of the day to kind of see when I'm gonna put him down. We're just kind of starting to establish a new routine for us. Normally he won't last more than about 2 hours in the morning. So I'm thinking that here sometime by like 9:40, he's gonna be ready for his first nap. Sometimes he lasts a little longer, but he's usually pretty sleepy in the morning. So we'll see what he does, and then when it's time to put him down for his nap, I'll show you how we continue the sleep training process. All right, so it's like 9:40, and I was right on the money about his first nap. He only lasted like 2 hours since he was awake. So it's time for his first nap. So I'm gonna show you how we do the same sleep training for naps. First thing I wanna do is make sure that he has a clean diaper, that he's nice and dry, so that way he's not, you know, upset about something else. So I changed his diaper, but I'm nursing him right now. I've got him like over here. So I'm just gonna kind of top him off so he's not hungry. I wanna make sure that when he's going down for his nap, that if he's crying, it's not out of hunger. So that just gives me a little bit of peace of mind that he's not hungry. So I'm just gonna feed him a little bit. Again, we're trying to adjust to this new schedule and all of that. After I nurse him, I'm gonna do the same thing, put him in his crib and turn on the sound machine, and then just leave and then I'll talk to you then. Alright, so it's 9:45. I've got the monitor here. I'm back in my room. Joe's watching Riley downstairs for me. Now I'm going to do the same thing as I did yesterday. Wait the intervals and go check in on him. Now that it's day 2, the intervals are 5, 10, and 12. I mean, technically this is like the first day of me doing naps, but since we're on day 2 and tonight will be night 2, I'm just going to go and start off with the day 2 intervals for the nap. Obviously you can do this however you want, but I know that he can do 5 minutes of crying, so we're going to start off with the 5 minutes, and then I'll go in after 10 minutes, and I'll go in after 12 minutes, and after that it's every 12 minutes. So he usually does pretty well with his naps. I'm curious to see how many check-ins he's going to need today for his naps. I know that Riley had a hard time getting her naps in order. Like when we were sleep training, she did great for nighttime sleep, but her like naps and during the day, like she would fight them a lot. I feel like none of my children have been great nappers, but see, like right now he's just kind of chilling in there. Like he cried when I left the room, but that wasn't even 5 minutes of crying. So even though I was looking at my phone, I was like, okay, it was 9:45 when he started crying. Now that he's not crying, the way that I do it is I kind of reset the clock. So I count my intervals based off of when there's heavy crying. So if he takes a breather in between and he's quiet for like a minute or two, then it resets the clock. So when he starts crying real hard again, then I'll be like, all right, now the 5 minutes start. But that's subjective. I mean, every kid is going to be different. Every parent is going to be different. So if you can't stand to even hear them fuss for, you know, longer than that, you might just want to go in. Now he's starting again, so I'm gonna look at my clock, 9:47. So now I'm gonna kind of count the 5 minutes from here. So there won't really be anything too exciting going on here. What I'll do is I'll check in with you guys at the end of the day. I've been recording all of the different like check-ins and stuff, so we are now on nap 1. Jackson has 3 naps every day as of right now, so for now, we're gonna stick with that schedule, and at the end of the day, I'll come on here and I will let you guys know how he did for all his naps. I know that I told you guys that I would check in with you guys at the end of the day, but here I am. This is still the first nap. I'm hanging out here with Riley. I just wanna show you how frustrating things can be. I put him down and I was watching him. He didn't really cry. He was just kind of fussing, and I thought he put himself to sleep. He was literally silent and quiet for 3 whole minutes. I even documented it. I was like 9:55 asleep, and now he's crying again. So he is like now awake. He kind of woke himself up, and that's gonna happen when they're teaching themselves to sleep. Remember that they're figuring things out, and every once in a while, especially like if they're going from being swaddled to being unswaddled and they still have a little bit of that startle reflex and stuff, there's gonna be times when you think that they are like asleep, and you celebrate and you're so excited, and then literally like 2 minutes later they wake up. So keeping an eye on him. I'm hoping that he does the same thing where he kind of just like fusses and then puts himself back, because so far I haven't had to like actually go in there to like intervene. But he is really tired. He's just kind of fighting it now. But that is one of the things that I wanted to show you, how freaking frustrating it can be, because I got all excited. I was like, yes, this took like literally 10 minutes for him to go to sleep, and now he's awake again. So that's gonna happen. All right, so it's 10:30. I'm calling that nap a loss. That was one of the most frustrating put downs for like nap time of his entire life. I will explain in a second. What's the matter, bud? At a certain point, I just decided to call it because I was just getting really frustrated. I just decided to call it. Total fail, total loss this first nap of the day, because he wasn't like crying. He was fussing, like I said, and there were so many times that I thought he was asleep. Like literally he was silent for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I would start my timer, and then after like a minute he would let out another cry, and then he'd fuss for another 2 minutes, and then I thought he'd be asleep, and then he'd wake up again. Finally he did sleep, but for 10 minutes. I started my timer, 10 minutes went by, and then he woke up. So that was not a successful nap, and that is something else that you should expect with sleep training. You're gonna have some progress, and then you're gonna have some regressions in other senses. So don't think that it's like a one-way process, like a linear process. There are definitely setbacks, and when I went back last night and watched my sleep training video with Riley, I was reminded of that. Like, we thought we had made a little bit of progress and she'd have a terrible night. So that is something to be expected. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too hard on them. Like, they're just learning and it's not their fault. But in the moment, can it be frustrating? Absolutely. I thought I was gonna have at least half an hour to hang out with Riley and just get a little work done. Maybe actually drink my coffee. I have reheated my coffee now like 5 times this morning, but that's not gonna happen. So we'll try again later for nap number 2. Keep him up for another couple hours and then see when he gets tired. And then when we do nap number 2, I'll let you guys know how that goes. All right, so it's a little later. We are on nap 2, and I thought I was gonna have more luck with nap 2 because he only slept for like 10 minutes nap 1, and so far it has been another bust. It has been pretty bad. He was crying for a bit. We did 5, 10, 12, and then after that first 12-minute check-in, settled down, but he's still not asleep. The 12-minute check-in, I flipped him onto his stomach, and I'm trying to get this to focus so you can see him. I flipped him onto his stomach to see if that would help him, and he's just been in there. You see, he's not crying, but he's just in there kind of rocking back and forth. He was getting up on all his hands and knees a little while ago and just kind of swaying side to side. So that's where we're at right now. Obviously, I'm glad he's not crying, but I also want him to actually go to sleep. He's like getting on all 4s again. So I know that this is all new to him. There's a lot of changes also going on with him right now. Like, he's just about to crawl. So anytime that your baby is like developing like a new milestone, going through something like that, or teething, they're gonna not do so well at stuff like this. So just manage your expectations well. You see right now he's in there on all 4s, and that's just what he's been doing for like the last, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. So hopefully eventually he'll get tired and he'll go to sleep. It's 1:21. I was about to give up hope and go get him, but he fell asleep. He fell asleep on his tummy. I'm gonna show you him in a second. But that just goes to show you that sometimes it can take a long time for them to go to sleep. Luckily, the majority of the time that he was in there, he wasn't crying. There was a long time where he was just rocking back and forth and playing in there. So it's not like he was crying the entire time, but he was in there for like over an hour, because I put him in there at 12:15 and it's 1:21, and now is when he actually fell asleep. So that is baby boy there just sleeping on his belly. So hopefully he gets at least a few minutes more than 10-minute nap. All right, you guys, so it's the next day, and I forgot to give you an update on how Jackson's 3rd nap of the day went yesterday. So he went to sleep around 4:23. He started crying immediately. As soon as I have left the room, every time that I have put him down, whether it's for nighttime sleep or for naps, he has been crying a little bit, like louder, like that is his initial what the heck is happening, and he cries. But this time he cried for 5 minutes, and then he kind of just started doing what he's been doing lately, like just fidgeting around in the crib and like touching his hands and trying to figure out how to get himself to sleep. So he did that for a little while until 4:43, and at 4:43 he was asleep. So he was in there for a total of 20 minutes before he actually fell asleep, but he only cried for 5. So I did go in at that 5-minute mark, then that was the last check-in that I had to do. So I'm happy when it's just like 1 or maybe 2 check-ins. I really do not like having to go in there more than 1 or 2 times. So I was happy with the initial put down. That's what I want to see. I want to see him in there crying for maybe a tiny bit and then figuring it out and going to sleep. But then the only problem was that at 5:01 he was awake. So it was only an 18-minute nap. So it seems like his only long nap of the day was that second nap for 38 minutes. The other ones were kind of crap. They were not very good. 18 minutes is not long enough for him to really rest, I don't think, and for me to do anything. So we're gonna keep working on these naps, and hopefully they'll get better as we go. All right, you guys, so I know there's been a little bit of back and forth with these updates, but I want to wrap up this video by giving you an update on how Jackson did for night 2. After that, I'm just going to give you some general thoughts, and then we are going to continue this series. By the way, I've already filmed all of today. Like, Jackson is currently sleeping now, and it's his 3rd night. So I'm gonna do like another vlog where I do the rest of the week. But in this video, I really wanted to show you like a full round of this, so you guys like got to see a little bit more in detail like what the actual put down process looked like and how we do like the naps and stuff. So I hope it hasn't been too confusing. So for night 2, which for me was last night, but for you it doesn't matter, night 2, I put him down at 8 o'clock. I nursed him in my bed, and he did actually fall asleep while he was nursing. So I've been trying to keep him up when he's nursing, but he was exhausted and he fell asleep. So I gave us both a little grace in that sense, and I just took him to his room. I put him in his crib, and he just passed out, like didn't move, and he just stayed there for a little while. So at 10 he woke up crying, and I was like, okay, we're gonna have to start the process again, but we didn't. So at 10:04 he was already asleep again. So he's been doing that with his nighttime sleep. It seems like he's been waking up, like startling himself. He'll like let out a little cry and then just check out his surroundings and then go back to sleep. So at 10:04 he was asleep again, and he slept for a little while. It was so funny. Like I was even here in my room, and then I would go in to check on him just so I could watch him breathe, because I'm not using the outlet on him, which I used to when he was smaller, but now that he's a little older, I just don't think that he really needs it. But I'm still like that super anxious mom that wants to make sure that he's okay. So I went to go check on his breathing for a little while, and then at 10:53 he did the same thing. He woke up crying, but at 11 he went back to sleep on his own. So it took him like 7 minutes to kind of reconfigure himself, and he went back to sleep. But this time what he did is he flipped back onto his belly. So he had been sleeping on his back, and at 11 he went down on his belly. So he stayed sleeping there until 1:04. At 1:04 he did the same thing, woke up crying, but then settled back down and continued sleeping. So he slept until 5:47. And then that's when he woke me up, and I brought him to my bed so that I could nurse him. And then he fell asleep, and he woke up again at 7:30. So from 5:47 he was in my bed until 7:30, which was when we were up for the day. Because anywhere between like 5 and 6 I want to be able to like nurse him and stuff. So that's why I've been bringing him into the bed like the last couple nights, like in those early morning hours. If it's like 5 or 6, I'll bring him into my bed, nurse him, and then we can keep sleeping another couple of hours there. But all of that to say that he really was in his crib from 8 to 5:47 last night, because even though he was waking up, he woke up at 10, he woke up at 10:53, he woke up at 1. All those times he woke up, but he put himself back to sleep. So yes, he woke me up. I didn't have a full entire night's sleep uninterrupted, but I didn't have to go in there to do any check-ins on him at night. So that for me is a huge win, and I'm super thankful that at least it seems like he's putting himself back to sleep. So he's done it the last 2 nights. Let's pray that that continues, because that has just been amazing, you guys. Like I just want to wrap up the video by sharing how happy I am that we have our bedroom back. Okay, so like I'm filming this right now, it's nighttime, and I can actually be in my room. Like I can turn on the TV, I can watch a show with Joe, we can get in bed and hang out, and I can shower finally. I can go over there to the bathroom and shower or do a face mask, do like a pampering routine. Because when Jackson was still sleeping in my room, like in this pack and play, I couldn't do any of that because I was always scared that I was gonna wake him up, and I had to tiptoe around him. We weren't about to turn on the TV and wake him up. So if that's the progress that we've made, even if that is all that we accomplish in the next week or so, that is huge for us. That is huge for me as just an individual person. It's also huge for me and Joe as a couple, because we haven't had any real space to ourselves, and our night would pretty much end at 7:30 or 8 once the kids were asleep. Like we would sometimes go downstairs and hang out for like an hour or 2, but it's not the same. At least I don't know, it's not the same for me. I love being in my bedroom and being in my comfy bed and being able to just watch YouTube videos in bed or read a book. So that is huge for us. You know, sleep training is a process. Some kids pick it up quicker than others. And I will tell you, like, today was an awful day. Today, that I didn't really film for you guys yet. You haven't seen it yet. Today, the naps were atrocious. Like, it's all new to him. He may be going through something. He may be teething. This is new to us. Like, we're developing a new routine and stuff. He's off of his old schedule. So it's gonna take him a minute to figure it out, and I have to be patient and I have to not get frustrated. But it seems that so far he is doing better with his nighttime sleep than with his naps, which I kind of guessed. I kind of anticipated that because Riley was the same. So that's gonna be it for now because I am gonna hop in the shower before he does wake up again, and hopefully I won't have to go in and do check-ins, but I just want to shower and relax for a couple hours. But I do hope that you guys have found this video to be helpful. Like I said, part 2 is coming, so stay tuned for that. I know that with Riley's I did like a full week in one video, but this video is getting like really long, so we're gonna do it in 2 parts, and that way you guys can see like a continuation of it. If it's already out, like if you're watching this in the future, I will link that part 2 in the description box, so that way you guys can just like click on the link and pick up from there. But that's the best I can do. I'm trying to just showcase what we're doing with the sleep training, and I don't think I put this disclaimer out at the beginning of this video, but don't come for me in the comments, okay? Like with Riley's video, I got so many hate comments about sleep training, and I know that sleep training is controversial. I am not at all saying that you should sleep train your child. I am not a doctor, like I've said. I don't think that there's a right way or a wrong way to do this. All of us mamas are just trying to figure it out for ourselves and for our families, and trying to take care of our mental health and the health of our kids. So we're all doing our best, okay? I don't need like a 5-paragraph long essay about what a terrible mother I am. I promise you I love my children, and I'm doing everything that I can to keep them safe and healthy. If you don't think that, goodbye, go away. To each their own. This is just what we're doing. So now that's it for real. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.